Okay, Boker Tov, good morning, Rechavia Nachlaot, right here in Yerushalayim. Thank you for joining us again, and we're going to continue chapter 4, Perek Dalid, in Sha'ar, ha-Yichud be'emunah, the page which corresponds to 156. In the Hebrew, it's Ayin Tet. The subject that we're discussing today is we're trying to explain, the Alter Rebbe is explaining the question, the introduction to the answer for the question that he asked at the end of chapter 3. The Alter Rebbe asked the following question. Seemingly, if we understand that every single object in the world is truly godliness, 100% elokut, because it totally depends on HaShem's spirituality, which is within every single object. If so then how is the world not batel? How is it not nullified? It seemingly should be nullified, just like the sun ray is within the sun globe. So in other words, we understand clearly now that everything is totally dependent on Hashem's existence. In order to understand this, we started to explain yesterday that the name Havaya, which is Hashem's name, Hashem's most essential name, which is called the Tetragrammaton, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, can be divided into two words: the Yud, the first letter, and then the next three letters, Hey Vav Hey, which means Hoveh, to create, which means that Yud sometimes means a constant activity, something which happens continuously. And so Yud and then a Hey Vav Hey, Yud and then a Hey Vav Hey indicates that Hashem continues to create the world all the time. The issue that we're going to start addressing today is as follows: that there are two verses in the Torah which seem to be somewhat contradictory. On one hand, in the verses just after the creation of the world, the 6 days of creation, and then the Shabbat, the Torah says, Biyom asot havaya Elokim eretz v'shamayim. On the day that Hashem, Elokim, created the heavens and the earth. The earth and the heavens, to be exact. So that indicates that the world was created with not only Shem Havaya, the name of Havaya, but also the name of Elokim. On the other hand, in Tehillim, Psalm, chapter 148, we say it in the morning davening every day, Yehalalu et Shem Hashem, they praise the name of Hashem, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, Ki hu tziva v'nivrau, for he commanded and they were created. From here it's indicated that the creation of the world was with the name Havaya, Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. So was the world created with only Havaya, or perhaps also with Shem Elokim? And the point that the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, I'm just giving a brief introduction, is that there is no difference between Havaya and Elokim. No matter what name you give to Hashem, it's all Hashem. There are different names for Hashem, which each one expresses another method of how Hashem is revealed to the world and how Hashem works in different ways in the world. But it's all Hashem. There's no difference. There's only one Hashem who has many names. It's almost like the joke that the guy, he makes a brit milah, and everyone's very eager to find out what his son's name is going to be. And so all of a sudden, it takes him 5 minutes to say the name of his son, the names. He starts saying, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, David, Shlomo, Yisroel, Shneur, Zalman, all the many names that there are, Menashe, and Ephraim, and Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun. He runs down about 300 names. And then he takes a deep breath, and then the guy giving the name continues, and everyone walks over to him. What a beautiful name. Wow, how did you come up with such a wonderful, long name? And why did you choose all these names? Are you afraid you're not going to have any more kids? You want to cram in all the names into one child? He said, I'll tell you, I asked several of my friends, and each one said another name. So one said Moshe, one said Aaron, one said Avram, one said Yaakov, Reuven, Shimon, each one said a different one. So I went through the whole list. I took the advice of my friend. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many names, as we're going to see in a moment. Has many terminologies, but each one refers to the way we, as creations or recipients of Hashem's great shefa to the world, for us, it's different channels. But it's all one Hashem. And so, Havaya and Elokim, even when we get into the details of the individual names of Hashem, it's still, they're all one. They're all essentially one. They're all essentially one. Okay, so let's go into the text. And we'll be able to explain, hopefully today, and over the next couple of days. Okay, we're on page Ayin Tet in Sha'ar, ha-Yichud ve'emunah, the gate of oneness of Hashem and faith in Hashem. It's about 7 lines from the top. You'll see there's a dot there, 2 words into the line. And the first word after the dot is Vehine. Vehine, and behold, B'sidur Shvachav Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we organize the praises of Hashem, Ktiv. It says, Hagadol, the great one, Hagibor, the strong one. And the truth is that it says afterwards, V'hanora, and the awesome one, and it goes on and on and on. Soon we're going to refer also to what it says in the Vayivarach David, in the paragraph that we referred to a couple of times over the past few weeks. L'cha Hashem, for you Hashem, Hagdula, you have the greatness, the Hagvura, and the strength, the Hatiferet, and the beauty, and so on and so forth. So we're basically referring to Hashem in many ways. Wow, you Hashem are the great one, you Hashem are the awesome one, and so on and so forth. So let's continue. Chulu. Upirush, and the explanation is Hagadol. What does Hagadol mean? The great one. Sounds nice. The great God. What does that mean? What does he do? What makes him great? There must be some definition. So we're going to find a definition. But this definition is going to be based on our understanding of what great means. It's not limiting Hashem in any way, shape, or form. Let's see inside. Upirush, and the explanation, Hagadol, what does it mean? The great one, Hi midat chesed. This is the attribute of kindness. The hitpashtut, ha-Yichud, and the spreading around of vitality and life, b'chol ha'olamot, in all of the worlds, ubruim, and the creations, l'en ketz v'tachalit, to no end and to no purpose. So when you say great, what does great mean? There are different ways. Each person will probably explain great in another way. But I think we can all agree that great, gadol, can refer to the subject of chesed, of kindness. What does that mean? A great person will be kind with others, will be very giving, will be sharing. And hitpashtut, when you want to have it spread around all over the place, whatever it is. in whatever context you're discussing. But the concept of being able to share the wealth, as they say, and to spread greatness, to spread bracha, to spread blessing over a large area, that's called greatness. That's Hagadol. So this characteristic, this attribute of being kind, chesed, namely over here we're talking about chesed the way it is in the highest world of Atzilut, that's called great. So when we say, Hashem, you are great, Hagadol, you are the great one, what are we referring to? We're referring to the fact that Hashem is great and is able to give the entire world, spiritual worlds, materialistic worlds, an abundance of shefa, an abundance of greatness and bracha. Let's continue inside. What does Hashem do when He gives this life force to so many people? Liyot, we're continuing in the text. Liyot, now is the beginning of the next line. Bru'im, to be created, me'ayin liyesh, from nothing to something. The kayamim, and to be sustained. Not only to be created once upon a time, but every single moment to be recreated and to be sustained. The chesed chinam, with the free translation is free chesed. In other words, just from the pure kindness of Hashem. In other words, I saw a bumper sticker a few times, and every time I see it, I smile. And it says, it's in Hebrew, it says something to the effect of, Kamta baboker, ha-Sha'ar bonus. You woke up in the morning, the rest is a bonus. Well, if you want to say bonus in Hebrew, it's bonus. It's very, that's obvious. I mean, you want to have a good Hebrew, you have to have a good English. So you wake up in the morning, and the rest is a bonus. What a matana, what a gift from Hashem, that Hashem brings us to the world every morning. That Hashem, we were made that we should be born to the world. That Hashem makes it every single moment we're created anew. That's the pure chesed of Hashem. For the Hashem's will that we should be able to be part in this amazing master plan of His, capital H. And so this is the Gedulah. Gedulah means greatness in the sense of giving from oneself. Someone that gives from themselves, especially in a large way, especially in a way of the way it is by Hashem, that Hashem is Ein Sof, then that's called Gedulah. That's true greatness. And here's the punchline, or here's the thread that I'm trying to bring out from the details in this chapter. Hashem's greatness is much greater than than any way, any terminology, any adjective that we can give Him. But there's no other way that we can define it. So that we say Gedulah, we say greatness. But since we're talking about greatness in reference to Hashem, who is Ein Sof, so Hashem is Ein Sof, then everything about Him is also Ein Sof. Also His wisdom, also His greatness, which is His kindness, and soon we'll talk about His strength, and so on and so forth, B'ezrat Hashem. This is the point. Even though when we say Gedulah, greatness, we're not talking about Ein Sof, because we have no understanding in any way, shape, or form into what greatness, into what the Ein Sof is. It doesn't change the fact. We just say greatness because that's the only way, those are the only letters, the only word that we can use to connect to Hashem. But once we shift and we talk about Gedulah, Chesed, the way it is by Hashem, then we can call it Ein Sof. We don't understand how it's possible, Ein Sof, because Chesed is a specific concept. There are letters, make up a word, chesed. But once it's connected to HaShem, everything about HaShem is Ein Sof, period. And as we move on, we'll be able to connect the dots. But this is a very important point that I just said now. Now let's continue in the text. V'nikret Gidula. Why is it called Gidula? Gidula can also be, very smart, or can be very talented. Why specifically Chesed? Why does Gidula capture specifically the concept of Chesed, of kindness? So the Alter Rebbe explains, Ki ba'a, because it comes from Migdulato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from the greatness of Hashem, Bichvodo v'atzmo, with his honor and essence. Ki gadol Hashem, we say in the Tehillim. Ki gadol Hashem, for Hashem is great. And then we say in the Ashrei, V'ligdulato en cheker, there's no investigation. It's not possible to look deeply into the greatness of Hashem, because it's Ein Sof. In other words, there's no end to Hashem's greatness. If it was something that was connected to a finite being, then you can do research and figure out what kind of greatness is this. But once we cut and paste the concept of Gedula, we paste it to Hashem, we connect it to Hashem, then we don't have any imagination even of how great this can be. Let's continue. V'lachein, and therefore, mashpia gamkein chesed. V'lachein mashpia gamkein chayut. Therefore, from the greatness of Hashem comes also a great level of vitality, v'hithavut, and creation, me'ayin liyesh, from nothing to something. L'olamot ubruim ein ketz. For the worlds and the unlimited creations of Hashem. Sheteva hatov lehitiv. For the nature of good is to do good. So once you have tov, once you have the concept of tov, which is good, good is chesed. Avraham Avinu is the classical example of chesed and good. Not only like other people are, but in fact, the actual attribute of chesed above said to Hashem, I would like to take a vacation. Avraham Avinu is here. He's doing my job pretty well. That means he had a great, great level of chesed. That's what Avraham Avinu resembled. His whole being was one being of chesed. To the extent that even when he was in pain, as we talked about, the third day of his Brit Milah, and he was 99 years old, he wanted to bring in guests into his home. Nothing stood in the way of Avraham Avinu acting as good and chesed. And we have a rule that teva hatov lehitiv, the nature of good, nature of one which resembles good, lehitiv, he does good. You have someone who likes to welcome people into their home. So that's a wonderful trait, a wonderful attribute of chesed and achnasat orchim. There are some people that say they have an open door policy. Whenever you want, come into my house. There are some people who say, you want to come to my house? I have to make an appointment. Or some people will say, only on Shabbat. Or some people will say, any evening you want to have a bowl of soup? With pleasure. Come warm yourself up, have some ice cream in the summer. So I believe that everybody has some level of kindness. For some people, a lot of kindness. Some people have a less amount of kindness. And some people, you have to dig really deep in order to reveal the kindness of their hearts. But I believe everybody has that. But then you have some people who are kindness through and through. They don't have any restrictions. They're just pure kindness. They don't know how to say no. And believe it or not, I'm not even saying that this is a good thing. Because sometimes it could be not a good thing. For example, if you take such a kind person and someone comes from the Hamas and says, can you contribute to our Hamas fund of the global terror organization? So this person, they just can't say no. They're just so kind, 100% kind. Now this is by a human being. Soon we'll translate how it is by HaShem. So by a human being, it's not good to be 100% kind. There have to be restrictions. Let's assume you have someone that someone asks, the person can receive. And usually it's a good thing. I'm just saying that it's not always a good thing. But usually it's amazing. It's profound. It's extremely complimentary. So when we talk about HaShem, this concept of Teva HaTov L'Hetiv, HaShem is 100% good. Now, someone that's Teva HaTov L'Hetiv, it does good. This is unlike the way it's interpreted in other religions, that HaShem is all loving and HaShem is all good. That's not what it means. HaShem is Ein Sof, so everything He does is Ein Sof. But there's no question that sometimes, hopefully it's something of the past, but sometimes Hashem has to act in a way of Gevurah. Not always not always, but let's put it this way, not always can we recognize how everything Hashem does is good. But that doesn't change the fact. Teva HaTov L'Hetiv. The nature of good is to do good. That's Hashem. Ein Sof. There's no limit to Hashem's good. All of the above is all alluded to in one word. Hagdulah. The greatness. The greatness of Hashem is indicated in the word Abdullah, which is Ein Sof. Sorry, what are you looking for? Just knock on the really. Okay, try to go upstairs. If it's not okay, they'll open the door. And so that's where it captures the concept of Hagdulah. That this is of when we talk about Hashem, that everything is Ein Sof. The Chesed and everything else about Hashem is also Ein Sof. So the next time we daven tomorrow morning, Vayivarach David, and we say, L'cha Hashem Hagdulah. That to you Hashem is greatness. Wow. Now we have a very powerful interpretation into this word. That Hashem, all Gdulah, all greatness and kindness in the world, L'cha, is really yours. Any little ounce of Gdulah that we may have is only an extension of Hashem's greatness. That's unbelievable. And then when we say the Shemona Esrei this afternoon in the Mincha, in the first bracha, we say Hakel Hagadol, Hagibor Banora, Hagadol, Hashem who is great. Now, right away, we're going to think about, every time we say Hagadol, we think about how Hashem's greatness is expressed in His kindness, in the great bracha of Shefa, and just a tremendous amount, an abundance of blessing that Hashem continues to shower upon us and on the entire world. All of that comes from Gedulah, comes from Hashem. And that's also connected to the fact itself that we're here. The fact itself that we're here in this world, that Hashem created us, and Hashem continues to create us, that indicates Gedulah. And tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, we'll explain the concept of Gibor V'Anora, strength and awesomeness.